Hey guys, Desolator Magic here, and it's finally time to bring back the Desolator News Network. I have turned up my mixer by about 3 decibels because we gotta do this loud. These news stories are gonna blow your mind. Seriously though, I think I turned it up too high. I might have to normalize this or something. Story number 1 coming out of France, where all the best stories come from. You're probably already thinking, oh, it's that crazy president and the protests and what a rich stuck-up douchebag he is. Hell no, this is DNN. We're talking about trained crows. So a theme park in France has trained a bunch of subspecies of crows called a rook, known of course for their immense intelligence and problem-solving capabilities. They have trained them to pick up pieces of trash and deposit them in a receptacle, which will then release a nugget of food. Honestly, depending upon how good the food is, I might go get some trash myself, just saying. Okay, so you save on staff hours and lower costs because you don't have to pay someone to go pick up cigarette butts and whatever else. But, who built the device, how much did it cost, and how much time did it take for the staff to train the crows? Also, one of the commenters on the news story had said, why don't they just train the crows to attack the smokers themselves instead of training them to pick up cigarette butts after they throw them on the ground? I think they've got a point. Our next story comes from DEF CON 2018, where they had a group of 50 children aged 8 through 16 participate in, well, a hacking exercise / fun family activity, where they set up 13 imitation election websites, and one of the 13-year-old boys was able to change the voting results in 10 minutes. Also, an 11-year-old girl was able to change the voting results in a mere 30 minutes. Overall, more than 30 of the 50 children were able to hack the website in some form. From what I hear, the websites contained known vulnerabilities, but they were set up somewhat equivalently to some examples in the past of real actual election systems. And then, of course, after news got out, everybody running the event was like, oh no, don't worry, this isn't realistic, it would never happen, certain voting systems aren't even connected to the internet. Little kids could never change the results of an election. But that sounds exactly like someone who's training up an army of children hackers would say. Our elections aren't safe. I got my eyes on you, 11-year-olds. Our next story comes from the world of mathematics. Way back in 1939, physicist Richard Feynman came up with a question. Decades later, in 2005, a group of physicists in France were finally able to solve it. And it was such a revolutionary solution that they actually won the 2006 Nobel Prize. Well, one of the Nobel Prizes, there's multiple. The question that they answered is why, when you bend uncooked spaghetti, it always breaks into more than 2 pieces. I am not kidding. Apparently, when the spaghetti is bent evenly from both ends, it will break near the center initially because that's where the highest degree of curvature is. Then the initial break triggers a snapback shockwave effect, and that is what further fractures the noodle. And yet one question remained. Can you force a piece of spaghetti to break in exactly 2 pieces? Researchers at MIT with way too much time and money have determined that yes, you can. All you have to do is twist it. If you twist it to a certain critical degree, it will break in 2 and then express its shockwave or stored energy in such a way that it will not further fracture the spaghetti. So now we have a method for precisely breaking dry spaghetti in 2. Thanks to almost 100 years of scientific study, I guess, and a Nobel Prize. If you see people collecting money for the Nobel Prize, or anybody who works at MIT, and they're looking for donations, just don't give them money. This is the kind of crap they do with money, okay? They don't need more money. And finally, our last story today is the greatest story in the history of news. You may have seen this floating around on the internet around mid-November and thought, ha, that's a funny joke. But this actually happened. The image was not photoshopped, the news story was not faked. This happened. This all started when 30-year-old Arthur Posey walked into a restaurant called Willie's Chicken Shack in New Orleans. Now, I think we all know that nothing bad has ever happened at a restaurant called Willie's Chicken Shack or anything similar. It sounds like an upstanding establishment to me. But apparently Arthur walked into the kitchen and asked one of the staff members one question followed by a statement that, depending upon who you ask, you'll get different versions of it. If you take all witness testimonies into account and sort of mix them together for a hybrid of what probably the most likely statement was, it is as follows. What time do you close? Followed by, I assume, an answer. Well, y'all about to close right now because I'm about to blow up the bathroom. Arthur was very shortly after arrested for making a bomb threat. The employees claim that he never said anything about a bathroom, that he said he was going to blow the place up. Arthur claims that he specifically mentioned the bathroom. So now Arthur is being charged with 2 counts of communicating false information of planned arson, which seems not only inaccurate, but unusually specific to be an actual law or charge. He also was scheduled for a mental competence hearing, to add insult to injury. Bros. And I mean specifically bros from Willie's Chicken Shack. To quote the famous timely meme, sometimes it be like that. Alright? Sometimes you just eat the wrong mix of things, you catch a stomach flu, you go to a cheap Chinese buffet, and sometimes just your life choices in the recent hours and days leading up to that moment will lead you to a chicken shack where you are going to blow a bathroom up, alright? The only question is, are you polite enough to go find the staff and give them fair warning? Arthur was. Hashtag free Arthur Posey. Arthur did nothing wrong. Well, hopefully Arthur gets some justice when he gets his day in court, wherein he will have to explain to a judge what manner of fresh hell was happening in his large intestines that day. That's it for the DNN news report today, guys. If you'll excuse me, I did not realize how much fiber was in that cereal I just ate, and I have to go blow up the bathroom at a Willie's Shrimp Depot.